Hi, Neil Anderson from FLACKBOX'S and Digital Revolver here, coming to you from NetApp Insight again. Today I was lucky enough to have an interview with Paul Stringfellow from Gardner Systems. You probably know him from his blog and Twitter account at TechStringy. And we had a talk today about how things are going at Insight and a little bit about career advice as well. So let's roll the tape. Okay, Paul Stringfellow, good to talk with you again.
Yeah.
Take 2 of our interview because the last one just got deleted by it. Well, it didn't save it. So let's do it again.
Yeah.
And I'll be able to ask better questions this time because I've already had one go at it. So
it was a good run. Yeah, I enjoyed it. It was a good run. Yeah. So let's go. Let's do it.
Okay, let's do it again. Okay, so introduce yourself, please. Tell my people where we can find you, what you do, everything.
So my name is Paul Stringfellow. I'm technical director for a data management consultancy based in Liverpool in the UK called Gardner Systems, and you can find me on all of the internet at TechStringy. So on Twitter, TechStringy.com is my blog site, and podcast.techstringy.com. If when this is finished you're not sick of listening to me, you can listen to my Tech Interviews podcast as well, which is full of great guests. So you don't really need to worry about listening to me.
Yeah, Paul does have great content, so definitely go over there and have a look. I use it myself all the time.
Do I have to slip you money now for saying
no, but it's true. I mean, all my stuff I just steal from you anyway, so yeah. Okay, so we said we'd talk a bit about career development. So how did you get to the position you're in today?
Yeah, so my career in IT is probably like most people. I started out working as a kind of support engineer, so at a pharmaceutical company. And what I realised relatively quickly with that was that working in a big company probably wasn't for me. I think I was there about 18 months, and over that time I realised that actually supporting an organisation like that, and put aside, I've been doing this over 20 years now, so technology moves quite a bit quicker than it used to. But I learned probably within 6 to 12 months that most of the problems and most of the things I was being asked to do, I'd done a dozen times before already. And I realised that really wasn't for me. So I started to look then at some of the organisations that we worked with at that time as a company, and ones that did things that were interesting to me. So I then started to look at this idea of working in the channel. So, working in a reseller or a consultancy business. And I felt that was kind of the place for me because it was something where, I think maybe with a small organisation as well, where you had a little bit more freedom of choice to kind of indulge different ideas, different passions, and work and solve different problems. I think I'd kind of, even from my time in education, when I was doing my degree, I realised that I probably didn't want to be a programmer. I think so when I was doing my degree, it was all still punch cards and valves. There's a lot of that involved. I seem to remember a lot of big machines, and having to go somewhere to pick printers off a dot matrix printer. It was exciting stuff. But I think what I realised then was things like systems analysis or business analysis. That was far more interesting to me. I've been presented with a problem and looking at ways of solving that. And so working in channel, whether you want to call it consultancy business or value-added reseller or whatever that might be, that was far more attractive to me. And the position I'm in now, I'm technical director of that business, but I've been with that company 20 years, and that seems like quite a long time. There'll be people just at the start of their careers listening to this thinking, well, I won't be dead in 20 years. How old is this guy? I can't see myself staying in one place. And I think if I'd been doing the same job for 20 years, exactly the same role, I probably wouldn't be in the same place either. But having because we're a relatively small business as well, I think having that freedom to, as a company, Gardner's have been around 35 years, and so obviously over that time, they've had to change as their customer needs have changed, as the technology industry's changed, so they've had to continue to change with that. And that's been the case in my time there as well. We've had to change and evolve. We couldn't be still selling, x86 PCs to people with dot matrix printers and tape drives and things, because that's not what people are doing. We move through doing storage, doing networking, doing servers, moving out to perimeter security. So as our customer needs have evolved, so my role has evolved, and that's what's kept things interesting. And today, I introduced this as a data management consultancy, and most of my time is spent working with our customers on that very topic. It's about how they look after their data. It's about how they, kind of identify the data. They've got loads of people we work with have got no idea about the amount of data they've got and where that data is, whether anybody even looks at it, and they're managing it, looking after it, and backing it up and moving it to the cloud, and it's costing them time and money to look after. And they've got no idea whether anybody's interested in that data whatsoever. So that kind of stuff, where we're now working with people about how they manage that, how they shrink down the vast volumes of data they've got to put it into something that's manageable, something they can secure, something they can apply compliance roles to. We're based in the UK, and as most people probably know, as lots of people listening to this may well know, as part of the EU, at least for now, data compliance, data governance rules, GDPR. But obviously GDPR is not the only compliance rule in the world. As you move across into Asia, you move across out into Australasia, these guys have got equally strict. We're doing some work with a company in China right now. They've got equally, if not more strict, data governance rules. So that's a big problem. But I suppose the point being that kind of stuff has kept it fresh, kept it interesting. And the stuff I do today is as interesting now as it's been in any of the 20 or so years of my career.
Yeah, when government does evolve, like there'll be something else in a few years' time. I'm sure you remember when the Sarbanes-Oxley came out. If you were dealing with companies based in the US, that was a huge deal back then.
Yeah. And I think what's starting to happen now. I mean, I was trying to kind of equate the change in data governance rules to kind of the health and safety world, and I think it's easy for us to sit there saying, "Oh, health and safety gone mad. What do you mean I can't go up a ladder?" But I always think that, so I have a little bit of history in this. My dad is he's retired now, was a health and safety advisor, health and safety consultant, I suppose, for want of a better phrase. And he actually got into that quite late in his career. It was kind of the last thing that I suppose he did. And for probably 10 years, some of the stories he would share, that health and safety was, a lot of that regulation's in place for two reasons. One is because people are stupid. And the other one is that you can't allow a company to exploit that stupidity, or even to bully people with, get up that ladder because I've told you to and I'm paying your wages. And I think that a lot of that regulation existed because that's what people were doing. And actually in terms of data regulation, that it's the same thing. I think lots of companies are using, and certainly when it comes to data privacy and the individual's data privacy, lots of companies have and gathered our data and are then not really taking care of it in the way that they should. It's not even that companies shouldn't have access to that data. If you've allowed somebody to have it and you want them to do stuff with it, great. But the idea that they then just kind of leave the doors open and leave all of your personal data for anybody to find, well, that can't, and I think industry was not solving that problem itself, and it's required regulation around the world, not just in the EU, but it's a regulation around the world to start saying, if you're going to look after individuals' data, then you need to look after it properly. And so I think genuinely it's a good thing to have done that. But again, that's made another shift in my career and the kind of work that I've done, because certainly over the last couple of years, we've worked with loads of customers and loads of companies who've come to us and said, how do we deal with this GDPR thing? What does that mean to us? How do we solve that data management, data privacy issue? And that's been a huge learning curve for us. And again, it's kept the role fresh and interesting.
So you said you were working for that pharmaceutical company, which was your first job out of university, and you knew you didn't want to stay there forever. You wanted to go do something else. How did you get that next job? Did you reach out to them, or did they advertise a position?
It was a little bit the other way. So they knew that I was looking, and we already knew each other. So when they knew I was looking, they said, "Well, look, there's a role here for you." So it was a little bit about kind of building those contacts, and I think one of the things that has been useful in my career, and particularly over the last 5 or 6 years, has been, I think it's very easy within your day-to-day role to be busy and to be too busy to do anything other than your job. And I took a decision about, and some of it came through listening to different podcasts, just trying to learn and educate myself in different ways and learn a little bit more about the industry. Because I think one of the values that I have in my role to support our customers, and we're talking at NetApp Insight, so at a technology conference, and I think one of the things that we find quite a lot is that if you're the CIO or you're somebody working in a big company and your day's stretched in doing just keeping the lights on, you don't often get the opportunity to come to a tech conference like this or to spend time listening to vendor strategic messaging. So some of our value is to go and do that on their behalf, and then so when we're listening to business problems, we're aware of what else is going on in the industry and how, and it's not just how different companies are solving it, but at events like this, we're speaking now, but We'll speak to different customers, different partners of NetApp in this case, and find out some of the challenges they're looking at, some of the ways they're solving them, so that we can share that information, that when we come across something, that we can share that same kind of feedback to them. And I think, as I've said to you before, that I think one of the things I always try and do, if I'm invited into a customer as a consultant or as a trusted advisor, I think one of the things I'm always trying kind of keen to do is never be sat in a meeting where somebody's talking about a topic that I have absolutely no idea what they're talking about. I'm being the person who's supposed to be working in the IT industry and understanding the industry. I'm supposed to be in there giving them some kind of strategic direction or helping them to build a strategy. They're talking about things that are current trends, current in vogue conversations around the IT industry, and I'm sat there with a more dumb look on my face than I've got right now, because I've never taken the time to understand that little bit of the industry. Pick on containers and Kubernetes and things like that. That's not a part of the industry that I'm ever going to spend time really learning how to develop, because that's not key to my day-to-day role. I don't work in a developer. We're not software developers. We're not doing that kind of thing. But I do know what it is, and I do know the impact in businesses, and I know that certain types of organisations doing certain types of things, that kind of technology and those kind of platforms are of use to them. So it's in my interest, and it's how I'm presenting value, to be able to sit in a meeting with somebody. If they want to start talking about Kubernetes, not be the person, actually be the one person in the room saying, that's okay, I know what you're talking about. And I've done that in meetings before, where we've actually won business off the back of me being the only person in the room who knew what the person, because like most of us, we're looking for validation. And if I've made a technology purchase, and at least one person who says, that's a good purchase, I know those guys, and I've seen that technology before, that's an interesting move, as opposed to being the person who sits in the room saying, I've no idea why, I've never heard of those guys. And suddenly the person you're talking to is probably sat there thinking, I made a mistake. Do I look stupid? Why has nobody else heard of these guys? So, and sometimes it's luck, it's not judgment. Sometimes it just happens to be, I've been at a show like this, or somebody's approached. We get approached all the time by vendors because they see us as a route to market, of course. So we get approached all the time by, are you interested in looking at this, interested in looking at that? And in my role, it's very easy to say no to that. And sometimes you have to, just because you've got other things going on. But part of my role really is to say, well, yeah, let's talk, let's see what it is you do. Can that be of value to us as a business, or can it be of value to our customers? So I think always having your ear to the ground and being prepared to learn and be prepared to listen to things that might not necessarily be something you understand, or something that's right now key to your role, but you never know when it might be. So I think that kind of just be open to meeting different people and learning about new technologies. I think that's a huge shift. I've got no idea whether that answered the question you asked me all that time ago.
I've forgotten what the question was.
Yeah, I don't know, but
I think
it was a great question.
Anyway.
Yeah, the answer was fantastic.
Yeah, awesome. Okay, so the question I always ask everybody, because a question that I get asked a lot myself, is what's the best advice you would give to somebody who is either looking to get their first role in IT, or maybe they're in their first role now and they want to know how best to progress their career, how to move up the ladder? What's the best advice you could give?
So there's probably two things there. I think they're two slightly different questions. So the looking to get into IT in the first place is probably a slightly different question to what do you do next. So I think if you're looking to get into IT in the first place because that's where your interest is, and for me, that was when I realised I was never going to be a professional footballer, just because the world didn't see the talent that in my head I had. The reality was that did not transform itself into the real world. But yeah, I'm a great footballer in my head. People will tell you that. And so once I realised that was the case, I suppose that and you probably it's a phrase we very much hear today, that IT's the future. That's where the big bucks are. And when I find them, I'll let you know. But I think for me, I knew I wanted a career in IT. So straight away, that was my area of interest. And I think as we talked about before, that I realised quite early on. So I pursued from an education point of view. I did computer studies in school, at A-level, and then went to university and did a computer studies degree. But I realised as part of that degree that the things that interested me were that kind of analysis piece. But I also knew that you're not going to go into business necessarily straight away doing some kind of analysis work, or being a consultant, because actually you don't know enough. What are you going to consult on? What are you going to tell people? Some theory. There's no value in necessarily something that's straight out of university. I'm a fresh-faced kid out of university with my degree. Let me tell you why you're all wrong. No company wants to hear that. So my first role I ended up in a role where it was a technical support role, and that was a great start. I think, as I said earlier on, it was a great start in learning how to deal with people, learning how to troubleshoot, learning how to logically work through stuff, and learning about how technology in the real world really stuck together. And then that moved on to, well, what do I want to do next? Like I was saying earlier on, and I realised it wasn't necessarily that a big company wasn't for me, although I don't think it was. But actually that kind of help desk support role wasn't necessarily for me either. So that next step was to find out, well, what things do interest me? What now with my little bit of experience, what things are the next thing that I want to find out more about? What do I want to learn about? And I think how you start to develop that is you probably have to take a little bit of investment in yourself. Like the great content you put together for people. Well, that's a great way for people to start investing in themselves a little bit. To learn something new, to learn something more about something that might be interesting to them. So maybe you've got a general role right now and you want to focus on a particular technology. Well, you're probably going to have to take that little bit of investment in yourself in learning how to do that. So that might be do some online studying, get yourself on a course, go and visit trade shows where that kind of technology might be something that you know is going to get discussed. So I think taking that little bit of time, and that little bit of time might be at weekends, it might be, you maybe have to book some leave, you maybe have to take some time off work to go and do something else, you might have to fund some of those things yourself. Then, that's probably, because I think when you're, the job market is so, particularly in IT, the job market is so competitive now. I think if you're going to go into something and find out about, you want to take this new role, and you can show that actually I know I'm doing something that's really different right now, but I've already done X, Y, and Z to prepare me for this. This is where my passion is. And I think another thing that's of real value is you look to progress your career. And we're talking at a conference here today, and this is the first time we've met, obviously in the real world. Apart from when we recorded the first go of this, we've met then as well. But first time we've met in the real world, and we've talked online and things before. But these kind of events are not just about education and technology. Often they're about community, and it's often that thing about getting to meet people perhaps you've only ever met online, meeting people you've never met before, building a network. And I know quite a lot of people who have changed roles, and the place they've gone when they've changed roles has not been to open up the job pages, has not been to go on the internet and start searching for jobs, has not been to go to an agency. It's actually been to go out to their community contacts and say, I'm looking for a new role, I'm looking for a change. Do you know anybody who might be interested in my particular skill set, whatever that skill set is? And that build, because also that time when maybe you find yourself in the job market unexpectedly, having taken the time to build that community and build those relationships. I mean, that's when you're first getting started, that's hard. But once you've been in the role for a while, I think one of the things that I've done over the last 5 or 6 years, we talked before about kind of keeping your job role fresh, is that bit where I've invested time in community. I've done this for quite a long time, got quite a lot of different experiences, and I thought, well, maybe I should start sharing that with other people. So blog post, doing blogs, getting on Twitter, eventually doing podcasts. It's all been about, a podcast is all about looking at technology that interests me that I don't necessarily know something about, and getting somebody on who does know something about it. So I'm learning from it, and if people then listen to that as well, hopefully they learn something from it as well. So that investment in community and giving a little bit back and genuinely going into that, not because I'm looking for how that might further my career, but genuinely doing some of this stuff because I'm passionate about the technology and just want to share it. That's been a hugely interesting journey for me. And as it's helped me do things in my career that I would never have done if I hadn't taken that little bit, maybe stepping out of your comfort zone a little bit. If I'd never done that, we wouldn't be having this conversation here today. I wouldn't have done some of the things that, even at this event, I've been involved in the general session. I'm involved in the general session again tomorrow. I've done an interview with theCUBE, so I don't know if some of your readers and listeners of this watch some of their content, but these are wild, wacky things that other people did who'd ever asked me, who'd be interested in what I had to say. But actually, the more you get involved in this kind of stuff, for me, that's not for everybody, but for me, that's we're doing this as a video thing, so it's for you clearly, but it isn't for everybody. They don't want to be front and centre of things. But if you're a frustrated musical theatre geek, probably like I am. I probably should have done musical theatre at school. That's probably the thing I should have realised, and I ended up doing IT. I should have been an actor, but anyway, I'm not. I'm doing this. But realising, if that's something that interests you, go out and chase that and develop it.
I didn't know you were into musical theatre.
Neither did I till just then. It's a revelation. It's an exclusive for this show.
Okay. All right. Well, thanks very much. But we better wrap it up here before
Yeah,
we
before
run
we delete
out of
another one. Yeah,
space again. Yeah. So we should end with glad hands. Musical theatre.
Jazz hands for everybody.
Jazz hands. Yeah. All right. Thanks very much.
No,
Paul.
it's been a real pleasure. Thanks for having me on.
All right. Thank you.